everyone. My name is Jeremy, creator and co-host of the Star Trek Wars podcast. Joining me tonight is my co-host and co-life partner, Chelsea. Hello, Chelsea.
Hello, Jeremy.
Welcome to Star Trek Wars, your official bootleg Star Trek podcast. The episode we're reviewing tonight will be rated on a scale from 1 to 10 by us, the co-hosts, and you guys in the Star Trek Wars Council that left a rating on our Facebook page. If you wish to join the council and have your vote counted for next week's episode, head over to that page. You can find us by searching for Star Trek Wars. The council should pop up right at the top. There you can rate the episodes yourself, and you can also leave a comment that'll be potentially read on air. It's a great community. We're all on there, very active, and love talking Trek with you. But I'm just going on and on. We might as well just talk about this episode.
Let's do it.
All right.
It's Tana.
It sure is. Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 3 will always have Tom Paris. Written by Willis.
Willis.
What you talking about, Willis?
Give me that bison.
Directed by Bob Suarez. Mariner and Tendi team up for a mission to retrieve an heirloom for Dr. Tana. Meanwhile, the Cerritos is visited by Lieutenant Tom Paris, much to the excitement of Boimler, who is hoping to meet him. While all this happens, Rutherford is haunted by the mystery surrounding the reappearance of a familiar presence on the Cerritos. All right, Chelsea, we'll always have Tom Paris. What are your general thoughts before we delve into the episode?
Just based on the title, I was not excited about this because I don't like Voy. But I loved it.
Awesome.
Loved it. What about you? What'd you think of it?
I liked it a lot. Not as great as last week for me, but super, super good. And for the first time in Star Trek Wars history, I found myself saying, could have used more Tom Paris.
Okay. I mean, okay.
First time ever, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we might disagree with that. But let's jump into pros. Chelsea, what worked for you this week?
Tendi and Mariner were amazing. I feel like they had a lot of really good lines. And it was also really fun to just see them kind of split up the team differently than usual.
Which we've been asking for.
Yeah, but not just Tendi and Mariner. Like even Rutherford and Boimler kind of had to branch out on their own and figure their own lives out. Obviously, I'm a pretty big fan of the fact that Mariner names T'Ana's sex totem Jeremy, because that's hilarious. And just the part where she's talking about all the claw marks being from her horny great grandmother. That's amazing.
Something Beverly Crusher could relate to.
Yes. Oh God. Yes. I don't think we needed more Tom Paris. I feel like it was the perfect dose of Tom Paris.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe he could go a long way without the crew of Voy.
You never know.
I don't know. I love when T'Ana gets her family heirloom and just turns into just a little kitten, and she hops in the box, and when she comes out and her pupils are all big, oh, it's so cute. Oh, I love it. There were a couple lines I really liked when Mariner's wait, nobody's getting fired over Jeremy. It was pretty great. And then the other line that Mariner said, she's oh, did you get your bowl signed by a Chakotay or whatever?
Yeah, my favorite line of the episode.
The shot of Quayler was really pretty. I think we mentioned it in maybe the first episode. The animation is really great this season.
Yeah.
Seems a lot different. It was good last season, but it's fun to look at.
Yeah.
I also really want to go to a whole planet where everything is a slushy. That sounds really great. Hopefully they have super hot weather all the time, because otherwise it just doesn't make sense. We got a Jennifer sighting and allegedly a Lauren Lapkus line, which I didn't pick up on at all.
Yeah, it's weird because we both saw Jennifer this week, but in two different places. I caught her at the beginning when Boimler couldn't get anything out of the replicator. She was back in line and be like, hey, who's holding up the line? And then you saw her later on and I didn't see her.
Boimler's storyline was great. I did like seeing him on his own and just kind of having to suffer through shit in only a way that Boimler can suffer.
It was a rough week for Boimler.
So
if you come out of the episode looking like a Kazon, brother, you had a bad day.
Which leads me into my next pro, which is when Tom Paris just straight up attacks him when he falls onto the bridge.
Like Mariner said, Boimler's one of very few people in the quadrant that can say they got beat up by Tom Paris.
I like it because, like, personally, I know, like, with Christy, at least in the past, I've gotten really excited about things and come across super aggressive, just, like, trying to explain, like, why I'm so excited. So the fact that was Boimler's like, Tom Paris! And he's just, like, so freaking aggressive about it, but he's just, like, fangirling. I was like, yeah, that's relatable and definitely funnier. Shax. That's pretty cool. I was pretty bummed when he died in the last season. Mm-hmm. So it's good to have him back. But I'm a little confused because I thought Kayshawn, I thought he replaced Shax.
Oh, I have a lot to say about this, Chelsea, but not in the pro segment, if you catch my drift.
Okay. But
a lot to say.
Okay. But did he replace Shax?
I wish I could talk about it, but we're still in pros.
Oh my goodness.
It's just my hands are tied.
And then when the shuttle hits...
Jeremy, when his hands were tied.
More like suck up at Tanagra. When the shuttle hits the ship and just kind of gently bounces off. And then the captain's like, damage report. None. And the random bridge guy's like, none.
Well, that was weird.
Just kind of confused. Also, I love the fact that Tendi was absolutely like shitting bricks thinking she was going to die. And it was just like a boop. I don't know. I feel like I'm leaving out so many pros, but everything about this episode landed very well. At least for me. Like, I loved it. What were your overall pros?
I love that Tendi and Mariner learn more about each other, and as they do, so do we, the audience. Mm-hmm. We find out this week from Tendi that she loves Klingon acid rock.
Punk.
Acid rock.
Punk.
Acid punk rock. And she's not that kind of Orion.
Mm-hmm. More of that in my cons.
Oh, okay. You want to talk about it more?
In my cons.
Okay.
We're not in cons yet.
I don't like being on this side of it. And I do like her being called the mistress of the winter constellations.
That is a badass name. Yeah.
As for Mariner, we found out she actually served on Deep Space Nine, which I hope
hell yeah.
we get more references to, because if she served on Deep Space Nine when Worf was there, that means she's only been on DS9 between seasons 4 through 7, because that's the only time Worf was on Deep Space Nine.
Also, they would be friends, so like, why is he not coming to visit her?
He doesn't even mention Jadzia in Insurrection. He's not going to talk about Mariner.
Okay, oranges and apples. Mugatos and potatoes.
Close. We find out Mariner loves bad boys. She loves bad girls. She's bisexual. She's into binars, which is a nice next-gen reference.
I feel like that was mentioned
it might have been
earlier, but I do love that she's just like, she loves everybody. I don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
And yeah, I'm with you. I really did love all the Tendi Mariner scenes. From the freak cloud-like planet, which I thought it was at first. We saw the free cloud in Picard. That's where you first see like quarks.
Oh, yes.
So it's very much like that to Starbase Earhart, which is a callback to Next Gen. And I thought it was a cool Orion settlement.
Yeah. Yeah, you just reminded me of a bunch of pros.
Oh, cool. Well, I can definitely get back to you for another round. Though, talking about the Starbase Earhart, Mike McMahon, if you're listening, there are better Nausicaan voice actors out there. I mean...
I'm one. You don't have the grumba.
That's not bad. Play Damchat Schumann. You talk, but you don't have the grumba. Yeah, there's two right there, Mike McMahon.
Just reach out on the council page and we'll let you know when we're free to record.
We have our own recording devices. We'll just send it to you. Maybe I'll just send this to you.
There you go.
I'll just send this episode to you as an audition tape. Yeah, that's it. You got more pros you want to throw at me?
Yeah. I like that it seems like Quark has like straight up franchised.
For sure now, right?
Because it's fantastic.
We've seen him on Free Cloud and on Quaalude too.
Yeah. But I don't know if franchise is the right word.
I think so.
Do you? Because No, not franchise. He just expanded. He's too greedy to actual
He's definitely
franchise
getting
out.
a piece of all that
Yeah,
action.
no, I feel like he's getting all of it.
But in my heart, I know he's still living on Deep Space Nine and just getting a
absolutely.
huge chunk of these profits.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the Nausicaans. That was a pro because, guys, the first time we watched this, I said, oh my God, those are Nausicaans. And I was really proud of that because honestly, I'm usually like, oh, what is that gross thing? I've seen that before, but okay.
Yeah, what would you have said if you watched this 4 years ago?
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, why am I watching Star Trek? I hate it.
What is Grumba?
Ooh.
What is Grumba for 500, Alex? All right, I guess we can move on to our cons.
Do you have any?
I do, and it sounds like you have some that you're very aggressively
let's
passionate
get into
about.
our cons. Cons.
What was that?
Oh, it was a combination of sound bites this time. This was rocket launch and game over.
Oh, it sounded like thunder and a kitten.
I'll need to rename these.
Like a kitten getting yeeted into a thunderstorm. Like, meow. It's probably Ta'ana getting yeeted into a thunderstorm. All right, cons. I would have liked a lot more explanation on Tendi. This is not the first time I've said this. She is super mysterious and super interesting, and they keep hinting at stuff, but like, what the hell? Give us an origin story, like something. She mentions like, I'm not that kind of Orion, but like, I don't know if she's speaking like genetically or if like she just decided to take like a higher path, for lack of better words, and make like a personal change in a more positive direction, because like her weirdly hot uncle or cousin or whatever that was like hinting at the fact that she used to be like a badass.
Yeah.
Like it reminds me of like Killy versus Tilly. Like, was she Killy? And she was like, I think I want to just like join Starfleet and do the right thing. Cause she seems really like bugged when Mariner's like, but seriously, could you like juice it up a little bit? She's like, I'm not that kind of Orion.
Yeah,
It's like,
what does that mean?
What the hell kind of Orion are you? Like, are you a subspecies that honestly doesn't have the ability to do that? Or is it a personal choice? Like like morale thing or moral thing? I don't.
I'm as interested in her backstory as I am Mariner's. Like,
Yeah.
there's something very interesting there.
Yeah, like I want to know more about her. Like, I guess it'd be cool to learn more about Rutherford, but like, he also hasn't really gotten like his own like time to shine, really. I think he's adorable. I think he's hilarious, but I'm not like really there for that because he hasn't been, I don't know, given a fair shot. Which is a segue into the fact that I thought Rutherford's storyline was boring as shit. He literally was just sweating. Every scene he was in, he was sweating and panicking and anxious and like wondering what happened to Shax. And I'm like, I'm already like sweating and nervous and anxious in real life. I don't need to watch this. Like it just, I don't know.
I did like when he was about to ask and that poor other ensign asked about it and got, and when the ensign was walking away, he's just like, but I thought he died.
But he died.
Like, yeah. Like
I get that, but I feel like.
And you get to see all the alternate Shaxes of how he could have been resurrected.
Yeah, so they show him as like a Borg and they're like, or did they give my body to the collectors?
Dyson Sphere, which is a next gen thing.
Okay, but he was a Borg.
Collective.
So are they Borg or are they collectors? Because one is Star Trek and one is Mass Effect.
I think he might have said collective when we're talking about the Borg.
Oh, I heard collectors both times.
Because that's kind of a weird shout out too, because that actually did happen in a book form. After Generations, Shatner wrote a book called The Return, which had the Borg resurrecting Kirk.
Oh. I mean, this is neither here nor there, but I'd watch the shit out of that.
Well, I read the shit out of it. And
do you have it?
No, I used to have like 30 books. I don't remember loving it as much as I love the premise and how cool that sounded. It didn't resonate with me. But
well, I want to read that book.
We'll find it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds interesting. But yeah, I was a little confused because I was like, but those are Borg. And then, yeah, like I said, I heard collectors. And I'm like, because then I was like, well, the collectors are like the ones that like tried to collect data. Right. So I'm like, wait, what? Like, what is happening? But those are really my only cons. What about you? Very passionate man, you.
I don't have a ton, except for what I may have alluded to earlier. But I did think when you're talking about Dr. Tana, what she was going through should be called Pon Fur.
It's called, her name is Ta'ana, Jeremy.
Yeah, but my joke, though, was Pon
Fur.
Yeah.
For Ta'ana.
Ta'ana, but not Pon Far.
Pon Fur.
Pon.
That's adorable.
Thank you. Yeah, we got it. Yes.
I do love how cat-like she is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, she's not just like a cat species that doesn't like have any cat tendencies. Like, she legit just wanted like an Amazon box to hang out in for a little while. Like, her like tail is up. She's like, yeah, that's the
eyes
stuff.
dilated.
So cute.
But for actual cons, I'm going to go with Shax's returning.
How dare you?
I get that it's playing with the trope of main characters dying and coming back, but it really diminishes the amazing sacrifice he made in no small parts for me. It just really doesn't sit well. I mean, why lessen the greatest episode of the series so far with a cheap gag of just bringing him back? And like, I have nothing against Shaxs. That's why I thought it was such a great moment with him sacrificing himself, because I like that character. But now he's just back, so what does that mean in the finale now? Nothing?
I don't think it means nothing. I mean, he seemed pretty emotional when Rutherford approached him and was like, I know you died saving me. Like, I know this is my fault. And he was like, no. Like, that wasn't your fault. That was my job.
Any more of that? Or is it just back to basics next week with Shaxs is back?
I mean,
back again.
I think it would be hilarious if they just made it the norm to kill Shaxs in every finale and then bring him back like 3 episodes
just in a Kenny him.
Yes. Maybe eventually he'll start wearing a little hoodie.
And like you allude to, maybe the biggest con beyond Shaxs is, what does this mean for Kayshawn? He's in this episode, but he has no lines, and he has no rank. There's no pips on his collar anymore. He was lieutenant, and now he has nothing.
Not even corn pips?
No corn pips. He doesn't get corn. He doesn't get lines. It makes me a bit nervous.
I mean, I love them both. I don't love Kayshawn as much as Shaxs because we didn't get any time with him. Like, they named a whole ass episode after him and then immediately turned him into a fucking puppet.
And then immediately...
It's the guy, Carl Tart, right?
Yeah.
Your guy from your podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm hoping. I mean, these writers seem like they have a pretty solid idea of what they want to do. So, like, even if he's not, like, quote unquote, a reoccurring, like, character every week with lines, I feel like he's still going to get some pretty standout funny lines or episodes eventually.
I hope so.
You don't have people like that and Lauren Lapkus and Paul F. Tompkins to have them in the background.
I hope so.
And if you do, then you're wrong.
And then finally, we saw 90% of Tom Paris's scenes in the Lower Decks trailer. So he really was hardly in this. We got the like Kazon attack, but aside from that, most of his scenes we saw. So we didn't get anything new out of that.
I thought that was kind of great.
Look, I get it.
It was a perfect amount. I also love that the first question Mariner asks is, "Oh, is he still a salamander?"
That's great.
You know what? That's a fair question. That's a fair
he
question.
takes the helm, like, just don't take us to the Delta Quadrant.
I also love that it was very like Shatner and like animation form. Like, he comes in and they like polish his face up and make him all like sparkly and handsome. I'm like, what do you really look like now?
You have any more pros or cons?
No, I don't. Do you?
Nope. I got a few Easter eggs, but most of them we kind of put in our pros and cons seamlessly. But Starbase Earhart, of course. And besides Quarks, you also saw Vic Fontaine's at Quailon 2.
Mm-hmm.
And from Vic Fontaine's, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a 4-armed piano player from Next Gen. It might have been Gambit. No, Unification 2-parter. They went to a little outpost, and there was a 4-armed piano-playing woman that was, of course, in love with Riker, who isn't.
I mean, of course.
So she also had somewhere off one of the little things was for her too. So
she had 4 arms.
Yeah, to play the piano better.
Did her and Riker hook up?
I mean,
Does she have 4 arms to play the Riker better?
oh, well,
I'm uncomfortable.
there's a
with
lot of
my own
assumptions,
question.
but
Please
yeah,
don't
not,
answer it.
yeah. And now, we started this trend last week, but now we have a name for it. I'm going to recommend 3 Trek episodes, but instead, I'm going to call it 3 Trekcommendations.
Dun, dun, dun!
I hope that sounded as epic as it did in my head.
Those sound bites are a little bit of a letdown.
All right, well, I'm going to recommend 3 episodes this week that I thought about while watching We'll Always Have Tom Paris. This first one, however, number 3, I am going to go ahead, since you mentioned the salamander, recommend the Voyager episode Threshold, because you have to see this episode.
I haven't seen it.
Voyager Season 2, Episode 15, Threshold, on Star Trek Wars got an average score out of 10 of a 1.56, which makes it tied for dead last in the history of Star Trek at number 716.
Is it tied with the Eye of Chakotay?
No, the fight? Give it some credit. It's like 713.
Out of how many?
716. Threshold is tied for dead last with a Deep Space Nine episode. You're
Okay.
Are you trying to guess the episode?
I was.
We may get to it. I hope we never do.
We watched all of DS9.
Yes.
So what do you mean we may get to it? What?
Well, as a Trekcommendation, I might recommend that, but I can't see it unless a character cross-dresses for comedy. It's probably not going to be a Trekcommendation. Again, number 2.
That already happened.
Much better episode, Tapestry, which is, the wheels are turning, Chelsea. You know what episode Tapestry is?
I have a fun game we should play.
Oh.
On your Trekcommendations every week, you should give the name and the, like you're doing, and then I have to try to figure out what it's about, because I haven't seen most of these.
Okay. Tapestry, The Next Generation.
Wait a second.
You didn't even let me finish.
Is that when Picard plays the Picard flute?
No.
The Rusican recorder?
No, that all sounds very filthy. Tapestry is the episode where we see Station Earhart with play Dom Jot.
Oh, it's when Q comes in and
Yes.
he changes. Yep. Okay.
Yes.
I'm tracking.
That's season 6, episode 14. That had an average score of a 9.45 from us, which makes it number 14 all time. And makes it number 4 on the next gen list all time out of like 176 episodes.
Nice.
It's number 4. So that's a great one. So if you can only watch one, maybe don't watch Threshold. Watch Tapestry. But number 1, there's an episode even better than that I'm recommending.
I love
still working on it.
Don't let anybody stop you. This is great.
And that would be, do I tell you the series? So, would that help
I would
you?
say give me all the prereqs, right?
Okay. This is Amok Time from the original series, season 2, episode 1. Amok Time is a 9.91 on our all-time list, putting it at number 4 all time and the number 1 episode of the original series at Star Trek Wars.
Okay. I get 3 questions.
Okay.
Have I seen this?
Yes.
Okay. Shit. It sounds really familiar.
Was that a question?
Nope. Just an observation. Okay. Is it the one where they go through the stone, the guardian? Nope. Okay.
It has something to do.
Oh, it's the one with the lady and they time travel into like the 20s, right? And like
I feel like that's what you were asking for the first time.
Oh shit, is that the same episode?
Same episode.
No!
Now, this has something to do with this week's
really
episode.
love that episode,
I know you do.
guess.
I know. And I do too. That was my number 1
episode.
of all time, but not my co-host, so that's why I didn't.
Wow, you guys really dropped the ball, co-hosts.
Mm-hmm.
Has something to do with this week's episode.
Maybe Dr. Ta'ana, like what she's going through. Yeah,
Okay, it's the one where Spock has to fight the other. Oh my God, he has to fight Kirk.
Yes.
He has to fight Kirk for that super hot Vulcan girl.
Yes.
And then that old lady Vulcan woman who's like the high priestess is there, and it's really neat.
Yes. So it's Ponfar versus Ponfur.
And Threshold is where Janeway and Tom Paris become salamanders and have weird little egg babies.
Lizard babies, for sure.
Egg babies.
Yeah.
Lizards lay eggs.
Yeah.
Egg babies.
Great job.
Thanks. This will be
We'll see how you do next week.
Yeah. Oof.
All right, that's what we thought about this episode. Let's jump into your fan comments. Chris Rao says, I thought it was great. The continued homage to classic Trek episodes, the introduction to Klingon acid punk, a cat in a box, and Paris backfighting the Kazon. I legitimately laughed aloud 3 or 4 times. 9 kitty sex posts out of 10. Ronald Wilson says, wait, he's still a lieutenant? Are Kim's bad rank vibes rubbing off on him now? Also, why doesn't his first duty character return here? Hashtag missed op. That's a great point, Ronald Wilson. We could have got a Nick Locarno reference.
What?
Remember the first duty with in Next Gen where Wesley and the accident at Starfleet Academy?
Oh.
Same character, but they couldn't use Nick Locarno because they didn't want to pay to use the royalties, so they changed his name, but basic backstory and everything.
Yeah,
so,
but he's Tom Paris.
Yeah, so that could have been a fun Lower Decks if someone maybe mistook him for Nick Locarno.
Would have been funny.
And finally, Wayne Fraser says, okay, I watch it twice just to make sure. I really like this episode for the most part. The Boimler Paris arc was as light and fluffy as you'd expect, but it was Mariner and in particular Tindy who did the heavy lifting. I loved her in this episode. There was just so much to unlock in her backstory, some of it contradictory, suggesting we're not getting the whole truth. I loved it. I say I liked it for the most part because I have mixed feelings on the Rutherford arc. I am so glad that Shax is back, but I'm not sure even hearing just a little about the mechanics of how senior officers come back was necessary. Also, it does cheapen his sacrifice for one of his baby bears, if only a little. Also, what does Shax's return mean for Kayshawn, and where was he in this episode? Just in the background, Wayne, which is what I'm afraid of. Thank you, everybody, for writing in. Let's go ahead and review this one. Chelsea, what do you give? We'll always have Tom Paris.
I'm going to start by saying that it's super wild because Wayne always leaves comments, and the first half of his like comments are always like, hell yeah, like totally synced up with what I think. And I'm like, yes, I have somebody on my side. And then he morphs into your viewpoints, and it's bullshit.
Hey, this is Wayne's world, baby. We're just
Talking
living
in
it.
it.
Yeah. What did you review this episode?
I'm actually probably going to give it a 10.
Holy cow.
It was really good to me.
A 10.
Like there were issues and all, but I like it.
Fantastic. A 10.
What
That
are you
is
gonna
great.
give it?
I'm going to give this one a 7. A 7 collector plates. Star Trek Wars Council, give it an average score of a 7.37. So how did Lower Decks do this week? Well, let me get the crunchometer up and going. 7 plus 10 plus 7.37 divided by 3 equals, nope, that's incorrect. 7 plus 10 plus 7.37.
This is always my favorite part.
Equals 24.37 divided by 3 equals, and Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2 Episode 3, We'll Always Have Tom Paris, comes to us with an average score of an 8.12. Woo! That's amazing. Thank you, Crunchometer, for your speedy results. And that'll do it for this week. Star Trek Wars is available on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and anywhere else fine podcasts are heard. You can also find us on Twitter at the Star Trek Wars. And if you want any of our merchandise, you can head over to redbubble.com or follow the link attached to this episode. Chelsea, always a pleasure. Thanks for doing this with me. Next up, Chesney and I are back immediately for Lower Decks Episode 4, titled Mugatu Gamatu. And if you're listening to this, it's already out.
Oh, shit. I used the Mugatu potato reference in the wrong episode.
That's right. You can get it right next week. I mean, immediately, since we're recording it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, see y'all in 5.
So check it out. We will see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to Star Trek Wars.